Even among the very wise, few can truly comprehend the disgusting nature of the Skaven. These hideous ratmen scurry through their dirt holes, always looking for some new way to terrorize the surface world. While every one of these creatures is worthy of fear and loathing by the other species of Warhammer, some are more unpleasant than others. Chief among these are the plague monks of Clan Pestilence, Skaven dedicated to the unholy power of rot. Only the children of Nurgle can command a more comprehensive command of plague and illness. The pox-coated monstrosities of Pestilence are responsible for many of the diseases afflicting the Warhammer world, including the Black Plague that ravaged the Empire, and the Red Pox that brought Bretonnia to its knees. The inventors of these diseases are lauded by Clan Pestilence, as every terrible plague created and unleashed on the foes of Skavendom is an act of service to the Great Horned Rat. Unfortunately, the knowledge of how to brew these diseases is not lost when their initial inventor is slain, either by outside forces or their own jealous underlings. Instead, all knowledge of poxcraft and plague brewing is constantly being compiled for future use by the loathsome rat men. These recipes are scribed into the Liber Bubonicus, one of the most wretched artifacts to ever curse the Warhammer world with its presence. In truth, there is not just one Liber Bubonicus. No, that would be too kind, as it could be stolen and destroyed. Instead, every order of plague monks carries its own Liber Bubonicus. These books are filled with every plague recipe a plague monk group has discovered in their eternal search for new illnesses. When a new disease is invented, the plague deacon of the order records the plague's effects on its victims and what components are needed to replicate it in the book for posterity's sake. The foul knowledge is preserved for future generations of plague monks, able to be summoned at a moment's notice to terrorize man-things and lizard-things alike. In that way, it is perhaps the closest thing the Skaven have to a recorded history. The loss of even one Liber Bubonicus is a devastating blow to Clan Pestilence, as its text is critical in their rituals. As such, the Skaven have taken considerable care to ensure that there are redundant copies of every disease recipe in a master book. Every 13 turns of Morsleep, all plague priests must return to the hidden temple city of Clan Pestilence in the Southlands to scribe this knowledge into their master copy. This Master Liber Bubonicus, also known as the Book of Woe, is the book carried into battle by none other than Lord Skrolk. Its very presence can be lethal to the weak or sickly, so potent is the vile magic inscribed within its pages. When the Plague Lord chitters its foul text aloud, the effects are infinitely worse. Pustules grow and burst on the skin of the afflicted, bloody lesions open on their internal organs, and their lungs fill with ghastly fluids. Even in a world as grim as the Warhammer one, death by the Liber Bubonicus is one of the most unpleasant ways to go. On tabletop, the Liber Bubonicus was a little less impressive than its fluff text suggests. During the magic phase, Lord Skrolk could mess around with it a little bit and squeak some magic words in an attempt to channel its power. This wasn't the most reliable of abilities, as there was a chance that the once magic used to cast a spell from the book would simply be wasted as Skrolk squealed some utter nonsense. Even if the Plague Lord was successful, the unit he targeted would only suffer a bunch of very weak attacks, though there was no armor save allowed. They didn't make it completely useless, as it was great at cleaning out gigantic hordes of low-toughness enemies. Fittingly enough, skinks were an excellent target for the spell, as their lower-than-average toughness made them extremely weak to its effects. In Total War Warhammer, the Liber Bubonicus has a very different niche in battle than it did in tabletop. Here it is much better at dealing with single-model entities and expensive elite units than it is at dealing with large blocks of chaff. The book has a direct damage effect that can be used twice in a battle, dealing a substantial amount of damage over the course of 15 seconds to a single unit. This ability only costs 200 gold in multiplayer, so if you take Lord Skrolk, it's basically a must-have. In campaign, the quest battle to get the Liber Bubonicus is issued at level 7. You have to fight a bunch of undead to get the book, which can be a bit of a challenge with this Skaven's low leadership, but it's nothing a well-built army can't handle. Once you unlock it, the Liber Bubonicus increases the recruit rank of Plague Priest faction-wide, while boosting Skaven corruption in Lord Skrolk's province by a fair amount. In addition to this, the book decreases the gold cost needed to enact the Pestilence scheme, as well as the ones of magic cost needed to cast Plague, a devastating vortex spell. That isn't even mentioning the book's special abilities mentioned in the multiplayer segment, though there's less importance on that in a campaign setting. All in all, it's a pretty nifty little item in both multiplayer and campaign, though you'll certainly notice its absence more in a PvP setting. With that, we've concluded our overview of one of the ickiest artifacts to ever curse our Items of Legend series. This one was specifically requested by Engines of Woe a few weeks back, so I hope it was worth the wait, if you're watching. It also marks the first ever appearance of the devious Skaven on the channel, though I'd prefer if we kept that fact a secret. Don't want any witch hunters knocking on my door and like. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and, do the YouTube things. If there's a specific thing you want to see on the channel, don't be afraid to comment it down below. This video is proof that you're not just screaming into the void when you do that. Until next time, this has been Sigmar's Chosen, signing off for now.